Yes. First, then let me explain the structure of the question paper. Then we will move on to draft answers of the model questions. Pay your attention. Right? When it comes to the examination paper, the definition is when it comes to the examination paper, you all will find two sections, right? Section A and Section B. Carefully listen, right? Section A and Section B. In Section A, there will be only one question. It is based on a case study, right? And it is the compulsory question. Section A, one question, 20 marks assigned question, right? 20 mark allocated question. And that question also a not that is the compulsory question. Right? It's based on a case study. I can do a favor with it. Before the examination, right? I will tell you the factor which is applicable for the compulsory question. Compulsory question මේ කියන්නේ සත්‍යයක මම විභාගෙට කලින් කියන්න ඔයගොල්ලන්ට exam තියෙන time table එක හම්බුනාට පස්සේ this responsibility is for the coordinators for the sort carefully listen. 18A exemption coordinator, I never met him today, right? I don't know that also. Pass the message to him. Anyway, you all are here today. So keep in your mind, before the examination, right? 5 days prior to the examination, I can excuse in leadership එකට දවස් 5කට කලින් මට කෝල් එකක් දෙන්න මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ඉන්ෆෝම් කරනවා මොකද්ද chat එකේ ඉන්නේ කියලා first question එක. ඒක compulsory නිසා තමයි මේක කියන්නේ chat එක හොඳට බලා ගන්න ඒක තමයි compulsory question එක කියන chat එක. එතන මම chat number එක කියනවා chat එක කියනවා ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කට්ටියට ඉන්ෆෝම් කරන්න. හරිනේ. So then it's about the first question. Probably there will be 2 sub-questions. Each question I may assign 10 marks. Right? So then 10 plus 10 is 20. Section A එක ප්‍රශ්නය තියෙන්නේ. ඒක compulsory ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඒක compulsory ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන chapter එක මම in advance කියනවා. ඊට පස්සේ questions දෙකයි තියෙන්නේ. ලකුණු 10 10 allocate කරමු. හරිනේ? done. Section B y'all can select. There will be altogether 6 questions. Out of 6 questions, you all need to only attempt 4 questions. There will be a selection. Right? You all can select. හයක් තියෙනවා ප්‍රශ්න හයක් එකකින් 4යි you all have to attempt. Right? So each question, yes, as usual, 20 marks right? Mark allocation is 20 marks. And if we consider the structure of the questions with them, there can be sometimes mini case studies, පුංචි case study එකක් අර වාක්‍ය 5ක 4ක විතර case study එකක් දීලා ඒක base කරගෙන questions තියෙන පුණා section B එකේ, right? හැම එකකටම නෙමෙයි තනින් තන එහෙම එකක් දෙකක් ප්‍රශ්න තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. So then the last question definitely with that means question number 7. It's again it depends on the way that you are selecting the questions with it. If you are going to select the question number 7, it's about you all need to provide short descriptions. I may give some titles, right? Some areas that we have discussed in the classroom. So then you all can provide short descriptions. For each area, each title, usually I'm assigning 4 marks. Then there will be 5 areas, 4 into 5, 20. Question number 7 එකේ තියෙන short descriptions දෙන්න. එතකොට areas 5ක් මම දෙයි, title 5ක්. ඒවට short descriptions දෙන්න තියෙන ලකුණු 4 ගන්න. එතකොට 4 දැන් තියෙන 5 ලකුණු 20ක් වෙනවා අන්තිම ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඒක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. හරිනේ. එතකොට ඒක මට කියන්නේ it's not a compulsory based on the way that you are selecting the questions with them. It depends. If you are selecting question number 7, that is the nature of the question. Right? So then, sometimes within some questions in section B, I may allocate the sub-question 8 marks. For the sub-question, second sub-question, I may allocate 7. And for the third one, 5 or වෙනස් වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ සමහර වෙලාවට higher, after, then again 6. විතර වෙනස් වෙයි 10 දෙකක්. එහෙම structure එක හැදේ. Mark structure. Right? important part is don't go through the past papers. You all can find one past paper 16A. In the past paper, they are going to fetch the examination on this 23rd. ඊට පස්සේ paper එක release කරයි. ඒකේ strict වෙන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒක follow කරන්න. ඒක structure එක විදියට හිතා ගන්න. ඒ වගේම structure එකක් තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ paper එකට එන්නේ without any kind of a difference. අනේ structure එක change කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ පව් හෙට වෙන නිසා ඒක විතරයි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට refer කරන්න තියෙන paper එකනේ. ඒ නිසා මේ ඒ structure එකට strict වෙන්නේ කිසිම වෙනසක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ paper එකේ structure. I have already made it also. මේ මට ඔයගොල්ලෝ කතා කරන්න තාම කිසිම දෙයක් බෑ ඒක රිලීස් කරන්න නැති නිසා after 23rd today you all can find it. So the important thing today, if you all have time, please practice that exam paper today. Attend the questions. And if you all have a time, just send me the answers via email today. Then I will check them and I will give you a feedback. ප්‍රශ්න හරි කරන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝ මුළු paper එකටම allocate කරන්න බැරි නම් time එක අඩුම ගානේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් දෙකක් හරි මාරගෙන කරන විදිහට හරි මට එවන්න මම ඊට පස්සේ go through කරලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ feedback එක දෙන්නම් answer එක හැදෙන්න ඕනද ඒක හරි නම් full marks එනවා කියලා මම කියන්න නැත්නම් adjust වෙන්න ඕනද මම කියන්න. paper එකම කරනවා කියලා හිතුවට මට හිතෙන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒක කරලා කියලා අඩුම ගානේ ප්‍රශ්න wise හරි please attend. Right? Okay. So it's about the exam paper structure, right? And don't worry, the paper won't be a difficult paper, right? So because here there can be some questions. Sometimes with we have the experience, we cannot exactly figure out the theoretical or technical terms, but still you all can think practically and write down the answers. So this is kind of a subject where like you can practice that with ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒ practice එක ගේන්න පුළුවන් subject එක තමයි මේක හැමතැනකම ඔයගොල්ලෝ apply කරන්න බෑ ප්‍රශ්න වල මේ paper එකේ. හැබැයි there can be some situations you all can practically think and write down. If it is a kind of a justifiable answer, if I feel that you have the knowledge and if you have justified the answer, then there can be some like chances in terms of achieving the marks with it. ඔයගොල්ලෝ chance එකක් තියෙයි marks achieve කරන්න practically හිතුවා. සමහර තැන් වලට හැමතැනම මේක apply වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right? So, carefully read question number 1 today. In model questions, read the question number 1 and draft the answer today. You all can refer the notes and draft the answer. No need to write down in detail answer, just draft value. Slides wala draft and wala answer. You can refer the site also. Just try to figure out where I have tested these questions from which chapter and from which section. I need to explain the answers to the just draft the answers in point 4. Point 5 just the structure as well. Golden discuss with it. කෙලින්ම ස්ලයිඩ්ස් වලින් අහලා තියෙන මේක ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට හිතලා ලියන්න ඕන වඩා this is directly from slides. That's a chapter relevant for this question. In your draft answer. If it is not direct from the slide, then no problem. So this question is from very first chapter, right? Chapter number 1, becoming assertive or forceful. From this chapter, chapter number 1. It's a matter of applying the points that you can find in the slide to this case study. Application is important. You need to link with the case study. So why it's by us suggesting this strategy that you need to think with the history. So you're suggesting this as a strategy, then I suggest this. Among points is flowing. It should be fed by anything else to do. I don't give a date for the first question. So if we consider the first question, what is asking you all to discuss, right? 5 strategies that Mr. Bimal can execute in order to develop assertiveness in his leadership team, right? So therefore, what you need to focus is, this is a 10 marks assigned question, right? 10 marks assigned question. Usually, this is the pattern that I am giving marks, right? If you all have identified correct strategies, correct 5 strategies, and if you have briefly explained them, right, you will receive 5 to 6 marks, right? 5 marks, probably 5 marks, right? Then, if you have linked those points with the case study, then only you will receive other 5. එහෙමයි වෙන්නේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ පොයින්ට් පහ අඳුරගෙන ඒක එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරලා තියලා එක්සෑම් එකට වෙලා ගෙදර එනවානේ හොඳ ලකුණක් තියෙයි කියලා. හැබැයි එක්සෑම් එකේ පහුවෙලා ලකුණ එන්නේ නැති වෙන්නේ ඇප්ලිකේෂන් එක නැති වුණ නිසා. Right? Please keep in your mind to that. So write down 5 strategies plus link those 5 strategies with the case study. Right here, this is from this slide. I will show the slides also. Strategies. Here, Putha, you need to convert these things to set of strategies. Right? We need to, for an example, Putha, meta padak hitano. Make avilatine directly from the slide. It's true. But Putha, you all need to like adjust these points according to the question. So if you are reading this slide, Putha, you will realize that these are not strategies. These are not in the nature of strategy. You need to convert them into strategies. For an example, if we consider the first point, it's saying, right, if we want to improve our assertiveness, we need to encourage clear communication. Right? Then you can suggest a strategy to Mr. Bimal as this, Putha. Encourage open communication and active listening within the organization. One strategy. Encourage open communication and active listening within the organization. Right? Especially targeting the HODs or the leaders of the organization. එහෙම convert කරගන්න ඕනේ. Then if we consider the second point, put the respect, third point, respect for others. Then you can say Mr. Bimal need to practice a culture within the organization where others respect, where employees respect others. Convert this point to a strategy. Right? Then you can see if we consider the last point, seeking compromise. Then you can like mention a strategy with it. So Mr. Bimal need to focus on improving the negotiation skills of his leadership team. See how we are converting these points into the strategies. Right? Then Pute, those are points only. You need to then say, due to this reason, I am suggesting this strategy. When I'm reading the case study, according to the given scenario, it is evident that this kind of an issue is existing in the organization. Then in order to overcome this issue, this strategy would be beneficial. And එහෙම පැහැදිලි කරන්න ඕනේ. නිකන් strategical ලියන්න බෑනේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ strategy එකේ මොකක් හරි applicability එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. Right? Okay. That is for the first question. Then if we move on to, so here for an example, in the case study, if I consider this point, okay, it's saying the primary issue was that department heads, the leadership team, tended to avoid confrontation and were reluctant to provide constructive feedback. You can see there's an issue with communication, right? Basically providing feedbacks. You can tell directly. So there's an issue like this. So in order to overcome this issue, I'm suggesting this strategy called, you can write down, encouraging open communication and active listening, plus providing regular feedbacks, right? So then through that, the organization can overcome this issue. අන්න එහෙම පැහැදිලි කරන්න. issues ටික මුලින්ම case study එකක් දුන්න ගමන් ලස්සනට issues ටික highlight කරගන්න. මෙන්න මේ වගේ issues තියෙනවා කියන එක highlight කරගන්න. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට issues දීලා තියෙනවා කියන්නේ questions also put targeting those issues. Right? Okay. So then if we move on to the second question, explain 5 main benefits that can be expected for leadership team of Digitech by being assertive. Here put benefits of assertiveness. This is from this slide. right? So here you need to explain these points with creating a link with the case study also put it. For an example, may better relationships, right? You can say when you are reading the case study, if I take the same point, right? Here, we can realize that there's no any good relationship between the subordinates and the leaders. මේ point එක කියවද්දී අපිට තේරෙනවා. Right? If we can like apply, if we can implement the assertiveness within this organization, then they can maintain better relationships with employees and the leaders or the subordinates and the leaders. So through that, they can overcome this stated issue. Kela issue එක overcome වෙනවා කියන එක ලියන්නේ benefit එක හරහා. හරි සරල දෙයක් කරන් තියෙන මේ ප්‍රශ්න 10න් 10 ගන්න like all of you can like achieve 20 out of 20 at least 18 marks. This is not a technical question, right? Okay, here also when you are writing 5 points and explaining the 5 benefits without applying to the case study, you all will receive 5 marks. If you can apply these benefits to the case study, then you can go for 10 out of 10. Right? Okay. Then for the quickly see the other 2 questions. Again, draft the answers in point 4. Here, but these are not based on a case study. So then, for an example, if we consider the first sub-question of number 2, it's asking you, like it's saying something like this: proactivity is a key characteristic of effective leaders. Discuss how leaders exhibit proactivity in the organizational context with appropriate examples. So here, just write down. Mark allocation එක අටයින් then you need to strategically think with it, then you need to write down 4 points. ඔය අටක් කියලා දෙනකොට ඔබ හිතන්න ඕනේ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ලකුණු 8 එන්නේ for the 4 points 4 marks for the explanation with the example another 4. ඔය මම කනිකම කියලා නැත්නම් identify 4 characteristics, identify 3 characteristics කියලා නැත්නම් strategically think about the mark allocation. Right? I'm allocating marks for the points and for the explanation. For the points, 1 mark, and for the explanation, 1 mark. Am I ending? එතන 4 characteristics 4 ලියනවා ලකුණු 4යි. ඒක explain කරනකොට example එකක් එක ලකුණු 4යි. එහෙමයි ලකුණු 8 එන්නේ. The question number 2 is from chapter number 2. You see whether you are like figuring out the correct place from the side. The first two questions of the second question is from chapter number 2. The last question is from chapter number 3. Last question can be better. What is that question? Yes, but the second question, if we consider the first sub-question, Pute, it is from this slide. Chapter number 2, this slide. You all can write down any of these. There are like few characteristics. You can write down any 4. Visionary thinking, problem solving, initiative, planning head, adaptability, empowerment, continuous learning, effective communication. Any 4 points, but be careful. You need to write down an example also. Right? So apply to the work organizations and tell. So for an example, put the question. It's asking, proactivity is a key characteristic of effective leaders. Discover how leaders exhibit proactivity in the organizational context with appropriate examples. So then, for an example, just assume you all have written adaptability, right? It's one characteristic. So when you are writing the adaptability and explaining it, you will receive 1.5. For the example, you will receive other half a mark. ඔන්න marks කැඩෙන්නේ. මං කියවනේ like you need to identify 4 characteristics, right? Then per characteristic put I'm allocating 2 marks. If specifically consider this 2 marks put it derives like this. 1 mark for the point. Then half a mark for the explanation, another half a mark for the example. Right? In order to take 8 out of 8, you need to correctly identify 4 points, brief explanations, examples. Right? For an example, just assume if you all have written adaptability and explain what is adaptability and write down an example. You can say when it comes to the organizational context, when there's a change requirement, when the organizational HR policies are getting changed. So if the person is willing to accept that particular change and go with that particular change, it's showing the adaptability of the person. Here, write down an example. Right? Okay. That is for the sub-question number 1. Then sub-question number 2, explain 3. There I am specifically mentioning you need to write down only 3. Explain 3 ways that leaders can use to encourage subordinates in taking initiatives. So this is from this slide. Right? How to improve the support from peers and subordinates in taking initiatives. So that sub-question number 2 is totally from like it's from directly from this slide number 9, right? So here 5 points, and out of these 5 points, and just here I'm not expecting examples also. Write down the 3 points and explain them briefly. Right? Then the last sub-question. Describe 3 strategies that can be applied to build self-confidence and positive thinking in leaders of the organization. So this is not from chapter number 2. This is from chapter number 3. Performing under challenges. So this is the relevant slide for that question. Here you can find different strategies with it. From all these strategies, you need to identify only 3. Right? Okay. So then move on to the last question. Last model question. It's from this creativity and innovation. Yesterday. So since we don't have much time, I will explain the answers. Attention, please. So here the first question today it's asking you to discuss 4 possible reasons, right? 4 possible reasons for the decline of innovation in tech zone. So in the slides, you all cannot directly find, right, possible reasons for decline of innovation. No, right? So you all cannot find such a slide. So now you need to be a little bit strategic. And what you do put it here in chapter number 5, right? It's there are two slides. One is determinants of organizational creativity and innovation. You can say, right, if the organizational culture, climate, this Digi, what is the company name? Digi Texon, sorry. One reason can be Texon's culture or the climate is not supportive or not extending a sufficient support to encourage creativity and innovation, right? Another point that you can write down, the resources and the skills existing in Texo not adequate, right? Are not adequate. And the structure and the systems, if the structures and the systems are so strict, right, then it also can be a reason, Pute, towards this decline of innovation. If the structure systems are so bureaucratic, so structured, right, then the flexibility is not there. So it also can be a reason for decline of innovation. Methaning ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. Other way around, Pute, you all can take the answer from even this slide also. You can tell if the employees of this Texon company are not open-minded, right? It can be one reason to this declining of innovation of Texon. Then if they don't have growth-oriented mindset, and if they are not intrinsically motivated, plus if the leaders and the employees are not resilient, these reasons also can be some causes for decline of innovation. ඔය slide දෙකෙන්ම ලියන්න පුළුවන්. මේ points 4 ලියලා තිබුණත්, if you all have written these 5 points also, you all can gain the marks. Right? But you need to convert it to the negative side, Pute. Make a positive pattern. You need to write down not adequate, like when it comes to the resources and skills, if they are not adequate, then it can be a reason to decline the innovation. Bureaucratic structures and strict systems can be one reason for declining innovation, right? Then that is for the first sub-question. You need to identify 4 possible reasons. That means you need to identify 4 factors and briefly explain them, right? And the third sub-question number 2 of the third main question, that is explain 3 main creative skills that Mr. Rashan needs to encourage his subordinates to improve. It's put it directly from, you all can remember, right? Ideation, visualizing, thinking, or visualization. It's from here, put it. Ideation, problem solving, adaptability, visual thinking. Right? Here there are 4 creative skills. Out of these 4 skills, but you can write down 3. Right? Here also put 3 dahane no. Yes, 3. I have allocated 8 marks. Probably for this kind of a question, I won't allocate 8 marks, but 6 marks. Right? Since it's only 3, then I may allocate 6 marks. Right? So then the last question. Describe how proactivity helps Mr. Rashan to address the prevailing challenges of decline in market share of Texon. So we are going to write down the answer for this. Let me check how you are going to approach this question. Any idea? Describe how proactivity. And it's not from creativity and innovation. How you are going to draft the answer to the third sub-question. Describe how proactivity helps Mr. Ashan to address the prevailing challenge of determining market share, declining market share of Texon. In order to provide the answer for this question, you need to revisit chapter number 2. Proactivity and taking initiatives. Right? So therefore, we have discussed some key aspects of being proactive. We have discussed about anticipation, taking initiatives, responsibility. Let me show you. For the last question, you cannot find any answer from chapter number 5 and chapter number 6. Right? You need to revisit chapter number 2. So you can understand, in order to become a creative and innovative person, an organization, we need to be proactive also. Right? We need to be proactive. So here for that, you can take the answers from here. Right? Basically, what is asking how to overcome challenges by using proactivity. Prevailing challenge of declining market share of Texon. Proactivity, how proactivity helps. Then you can say, as the leader, if Mr. Rashan can encourage proactivity among the leaders of the organization, even within the employees of the organization, then they can, here, then employees can take initiatives, right? Then employees can foresee the potential challenges. Not only that, they are taking the responsibility. They are owning the outcomes. If the marketing department is not performing, because that's a kind of a significant challenge in terms of decline in the market share, then all the departments have the responsibility to turn this around, like turn this declining to a growing or kind of a maturity stage. Right? All the departments have the responsibility, not only one department. Then if the employees are proactive with it, so they are taking the responsibility also. Right? Taking responsibility also really important in this kind of a situation. Right? Because the market share is declining. They cannot blame others. They need to see why we are not performing, and they need to execute strong strategies to convert this situation into a better situation. Right? And prevention. If the employees are proactive with it, so they are taking necessary actions to prevent some challenges. A proactiveness එක තිබුණා නම් මේ වෙනකොට they are not facing a declining stage, right? So now they are like facing a declining stage, or kind of a decline in their market share. What now they can do with it, so they need to improve the proactiveness of their employees, focusing these 4 aspects. You can say if their employees and the leaders are proactive, then they are exhibiting, or then they are showing these characteristics: anticipation, initiative, responsibility, and prevention, and explain with it. If they are proactive, then they are foreseeing the potential challenges. Then they can understand the future problems, as well as they can understand the future opportunities, not only the problems, even opportunities also they can capture. So then, utilizing those opportunities, they can convert this declining market share into a growing market share. Right? So that's what you all need to do. Describe how proactivity helps Mr. Ashan to address the prevailing challenge of decline in market share of tech zone. Even you can, for an example, you can take prevention also. You can say if the employees and leaders are proactive, then they are showing the characteristic called preventive or prevention, right? So they are exhibiting this particular characteristic, prevention, not taking reactions or not reactive, preventive, right? So then they are not waiting till the things happen with it. So what they do is in advance they are taking necessary actions to prevent the negative situations, right? Or negative situations in the sense problems. Then it will help the organization to convert their situation from this decline market share to growing market share. Can explain karanna podda. That's what you need to do, right? So yes, also I have allocated 6 marks. You no need to write down all 4 points. You can only write down 3. Right? Out of these 4 aspects, you can write down any 3 aspects and briefly explain them. Important point, but you need to show how that particular aspect helps this taxon to overcome this issue. The issue is the sense, the decline in market share. How they can overcome that particular situation to a better situation. Right? So that's it with it. So what you all can do, please keep in your mind with it, please practice this. 23rd, we did 16A lamai exam එක 23rd. Then put the after 23rd, you all can find the past paper. Please attend on those questions. Please practice the structure of the exam paper. And if you have time, right, write down the answers and send them via an email. Then I will go through the answers and definitely I will provide the feedbacks. Right? Please practice the past paper. Anitya Balanya, you all will get confused with it. Anitya Balanya, 16 intake, it is 16A past paper is written. Right? So then with this, I will wind up the session. Again, small reminder for that. We are not going like didn't meet on next couple of weeks, so they know. Right? Even you all do not have online sessions also. Directly we are meeting on 6th of April for your presentations. Right? 6th of April. On 5th, you all need to submit the report. Right? Passerida, 11:59 khali reports එක submit කරන්න. Then 6 we are going to have the presentation from 8 to 1. Right? Thank you for that. See you all on 6th. To the online students who have joined via online. So now I'm concluding the session today. I have passed some messages to the students. If you all didn't get those points with it, it's better to discuss with them or have a small chat with them and take those information. And if you need to clarify anything also, you all can directly contact me and then I will give you the information if you want to clarify anything, right? So, yes, again, we are meeting on 6th of April for the presentations with it. So now I'm winding up the session. See you all. Thank you. Yes, with it.